This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.
If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from okay to very high. Know your sleep score with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
You have one new message. Translating. Disney and Pixar's Hoppers is now available on Disney+.
You could say that again.
Critics are calling it Pixar's funniest movie ever and a wildly entertaining ride. Blizzard Potato. It's certified fresh and verified hot.
Now we party.
This is incredible!
Wow, I am clearing the rest of the day.
Disney and Pixar's Hoppers, now available on Disney+. Rated PG.
Let's jump into what the lymphatic system is. It actually plays a really large role in your immune system. And in general, our hope is that it is working well on its own. And I think that's one reason that we don't necessarily give it a lot of attention, because in general, it is something that is working efficiently on its own. The body is an amazing thing. Like, it truly is. And the lymphatic system is one of those things that we really don't think about or put attention on until it's not working the way it should. I'm Jessica Valant. I'm a physical therapist, women's health expert, and Pilates teacher, and my goal is to help all women feel strong, safe, and secure in their bodies. In this podcast, I'll share expert advice, facts, amazing guests, stories, compassion, and hope to help you meet your body in all seasons of life. Hi, and welcome back to Meet Your Body. We are talking about a subject today that has become really popular recently. And I always know when something has become popular because I start getting more and more questions from you all about it, whether that is on social media, in my DMs, or in emails, or in my unlimited community. People have been asking about the lymphatic system and lymph exercises. So I decided it was time for us to talk about it. And whenever these things come up that I suddenly start getting questions from people about them, it tends to be a subject that, as a physical therapist for over 25 years now, we have been dealing with for years and years and years. Like, I have been dealing with the lymph system actually in treatment for clients since the very beginning, since even before I became a physical therapist. I was doing one of my rotations, so one of my internships, with a physical therapist who specialized in lymphedema. And so I got to learn firsthand as a student about lymphedema, what lymphedema was, how to measure for it, how to treat it, some really, really important factors around the lymph system. I was really lucky to have that exposure. And then a few years ago, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I had to have a double mastectomy and I had lymph nodes removed. So I have a very personal experience with the lymph system as well. So all of that comes together to be able to answer your questions today. So we are going to talk about what the lymphatic system is, why it's important, like the role it plays in your health, and how you can support your own lymphatic system. And keep in mind, I do have a new workout for you, and it is lymphatic drainage exercises. And it's a full body workout. So this is about a 12 to 13 minute routine that you could do daily. That's just a general support for your lymphatic system. So I will have the link to that below. So that's on YouTube. Anyone can go find it. And then I, of course, always have the ad-free version and full fitness plans over in my unlimited app and community as well. So I'll have the links for those below. And before we jump into the lymph system here, I do want to say that we're going to talk about it as a whole, right? Like the whole body lymphatic system, which does affect all of us. We all have a lymphatic system that we want to keep healthy, so it will affect all of us. There are some extra nuances and contextual things to understand if you have had lymph nodes removed and you are prone to lymphedema or you have lymphedema. And that tends to happen in one of the arms or one of the legs, so upper extremity or lower extremity. So I just want you to keep that in mind that if you are susceptible to it, if you do have that history of having lymph nodes removed, if you are going through it right now, listen, this is going to have so much important information for you. And then also, I want you to find some other resources and make sure that you're seeing a rehab professional who does specialize in lymphedema and post surgical or cancer rehab. That's really important. I did it myself. It was a huge part of my rehab. So I would highly recommend that. They might talk to you about things like compression garments. They're going to talk to you about possible lifestyle changes if you have had lymph nodes removed or you're going through lymphedema right now. So again, I just want you to keep that in mind that you're going to listen today because it's going to be really helpful. And then also you're going to take that extra step to make sure that you're seeing a PT or a rehab specialist for that concern because they can give you a lot of support. And then I will have one more video linked for you below. I do have a video on cording specifically, something I went through after my lymph node removal and my surgery and how I dealt with it and some exercises for cording. So I'll have those resources below as well. All right, so let's jump into what the lymphatic system is. It actually plays a really large role in your immune system. So it's really important when it comes to your overall health and moving fluid throughout your body. And it is considered kind of adjacent to the circulatory system. So it's actually not necessarily a full part of the circulatory system. But again, it's kind of adjacent to, meaning just like your blood vessels and arteries, how they move blood throughout your body, the lymph system is moving lymph fluid throughout your body. So you have lymph vessels throughout your entire body, moving fluid constantly. And again, it's a really important part of your immune function. It's a really important part of overall health. It's important when it comes to swelling, to helping with sleep, actually, because again, it can help with that energy and kind of feeling really sluggish if it's not working optimally. It helps with waste removal in your body, all of those things. All right. So that's your lymph system. You have lymph nodes in some major parts of your body, and you have hundreds of lymph nodes, and you have probably heard of these. Like, even if you don't know quite what the lymph system is, you're probably saying, oh yeah, I know what it's like to have a swollen lymph node when I'm sick. So we have some major kind of pieces or parts of our body that hold our lymph nodes. That would include your neck. That would include your armpit, which we call the axilla, so armpit, and groin. Those are the three major parts or three major body parts where you'll find those lymph nodes. In addition, you have some in your abdomen as well and kind of deeper around your organs. So this is kind of how I think of it. I think of the lymph system as a really massive, complicated highway system, right? That when it's working properly, it is all on time. Like, it is going and moving. And the lymph nodes are basically the intersections, like green light, red light, all of that. So it's like the hub almost, or the train station, if you will. It's where everything moves through. It kind of funnels through the lymph nodes. So when everything is working the way it should, as I said, it's kind of everything's on time. Things move. They're like constantly at the same kind of speed as they're going. You have no backups, just like a highway system would. Problems can occur when you have either lymph nodes removed, okay? And that, again, think of it like as the hub or as that train station or as an intersection. If you're thinking that highway analogy, if you have thousands of cars moving through that intersection or that hub per day, you want those lights to all be working together to keep that traffic moving. If you have a light that's faulty, like if you have a lymph node that's removed, all of a sudden, all those cars are funneling through either a smaller area, or you can think of it as an area that the lights just aren't quite timed correctly. If you've ever been on those streets where the lights aren't timed right, you know what can happen. There's suddenly backups, or you'll be going and you hit red light, red light, red light. That is what can happen in our lymph nodes, either when one is removed, or again, you can think of it as even when you're getting sick or it's not moving optimally or functionally, then you can have that sluggish kind of feeling or that sluggish thing that happens in the fluid itself. It's not moving optimally the way it should. It's not moving smoothly. So you get a backup, and that could be that feeling of a really swollen lymph node. Like, so if you're sick, that swollen lymph node starts to collect toxins, germs, all of that. So again, it gets sluggish in that area. The fluid's not moving really well, but also you do have germs. You're sick. They become swollen. Or if you have them removed, you suddenly have a backup of fluid, which is why lymphedema involves swelling, typically in the arm or the leg, because let's say in the breast cancer situation, we have lymph nodes removed in our armpit. And even I was very lucky in that the cancer had not spread to my lymph nodes, but they will do a lymph node biopsy to check. So even if you have only one removed, which is what I had one lymph node removed to check for cancer in my lymph nodes. Even in that situation, just having one removed will make a big difference in the effectiveness and the efficiency of the lymphatic system. I experienced cording, I experienced swelling in that arm, and still 2.5 years later, I continue to have to simply be aware of it. I'm not allowed to have blood pressure checked on that arm. I'm not allowed to have blood taken in that arm. I've been told not to have a lot of trauma to that side, because even just having that one lymph node removed can affect how that arm and the lymph system in that area reacts. So all of that to tell you that this is again, a really robust system to help keep us healthy that also can easily be tipped, even with just one lymph node being removed or getting sick. It can easily be tipped into that place of being not efficient, which then can have an effect on our overall health and our immune system. So that is how it works. That's the analogy that really made the most sense for me as I was kind of understanding how the lymph system worked, but then also like how it happens that it can get backed up and that we can have issues. So lymph fluid itself is a clear fluid that contains water, proteins, immune cells, cellular waste products, and bacteria and viruses that need to be filtered, right? So the main job of the lymphatic system is, think of it like a recycling system. So we've got that highway going, and maybe you think of it as all recycling trucks. So they are just taking things from one area to another to help your body recycle all of those cellular waste products, to move germs in and out and keep them going, and then release them so that we are not dealing with them in a systemic situation. All right. So that is what the lymphatic system is doing. It also helps maintain fluid balance. So it collects excess fluid, it returns it into circulation, and helps prevent excessive swelling. It supports your immune system. We mentioned that. It can trap viruses, it can capture bacteria, and it activates the immune cells. And this, again, is why lymph nodes often become swollen when you are sick, because those things, those bacteria, those immune cells can get captured and trapped in the lymph nodes. It helps to remove waste. And think of this as a cellular level. So I'm not talking about what you eat. Okay, that's your digestive system. We are talking cellular waste, proteins, metabolic waste products. And then it also can absorb dietary fat. So special lymphatic vessels in your intestines can absorb dietary fats and fat-soluble vitamins. All right, so it plays a really big role. This system that I know we don't talk about enough really does play a really important role. And in general, our hope is that it is working well on its own. And I think that's one reason that we don't necessarily give it a lot of attention, because in general, it is something that is working efficiently on its own. The body is an amazing thing. Like, it truly is how it works. And the lymphatic system is one of those things that we really don't think about or put attention on until it's not working the way it should. So until there, again, is a lymph node that is removed, or lymph nodes, multiple that are removed, or until you possibly have an autoimmune disease, and so your immune system really gets a lot more attention from you. Those kind of things. If you are looking at even long COVID, if you're looking at some chronic diseases that you really need to put a lot of attention into your immune system, the lymphatic system will come up. And I like to say this because if you are generally in a healthy state right now, like if you're sitting there listening to this thinking, yeah, I'm actually pretty healthy, I feel really good. I have a really good system to support my immune system. I don't have chronic illness. I don't have autoimmune disease. You just want to learn more about your lymphatic system. That is great. I am glad you're here learning. And I want you to keep in mind that you can kind of keep going the way you are. Like, just put some of the things into place today that we're going to talk about for awareness, but you don't need to add it to another really long list of things that you're concerned about. Because again, in a healthy state, the lymphatic system should be going status quo and taking care of itself. And I think that's an important distinction, because I don't like anyone to come here listening thinking, oh gosh, just one more thing I need to add to my list. Right? I need to be eating protein. I need to be getting all my sleep. I need to stress relief. I need this. I need to checklist. And now it's the lymphatic system. Again, if you're generally healthy, if you're in a really good place, doing all the tools we're going to talk about today, then your lymphatic system is probably pretty healthy too. It tends to be that red flag for us. Okay, I am starting to get sick a lot. I am feeling really sluggish. I am going through a diagnosis I didn't expect. I better also put some attention on my lymphatic system because it's going to play a role here. That is kind of the thought process with this. All right. So, why women should pay attention to it. As I said, if you have a chronic illness, if you have an autoimmune disease, if you tend to get sick a lot, if you're just someone who says, I am sick all the time, that is a really big way that you can look at it, a really big kind of flag to say, oh, maybe I should be looking at the system a little bit more. If you do have any history of having lymph nodes removed, that's an important piece. If you have any history of lymphedema whatsoever, that's a piece. If you tend to be really swollen or puffy in general, and yes, there can be many reasons for that, but this could be one of them. So that's a good place to look as well. All right. I want to also say that not everyone who has lymph nodes removed, and that again, in general, is going to be from a cancer diagnosis, either from a sentinel node biopsy. That's what we call it when they need to biopsy a lymph node to see if your cancer has spread. And that typically would be in the armpit or the groin, depending on the cancer. Could sometimes be the neck as well. Not everyone will have immediate symptoms from that. Again, I did, but not everyone will. But if you have had even one lymph node removed, I just want you to be aware of these things, that you'll want to put that extra attention onto your lymphatic system. Now, there are a couple myths about the lymph system that I want to make sure that we address here. And one is the idea that your lymph system needs to be detoxed. Now, I can do an entire episode probably on this idea of we need to detox, and I'm doing this in air quotes. We need to detox our bodies at all times. And I am saying that as someone who, yes, I absolutely believe that we can and should support our body in staying as healthy as we possibly can. We can and should support our digestive system. We can and should support our organs and how they work. There are many different ways that we can do that. That being said, our body has a very highly effective and highly developed system for detoxification that includes your liver, and your kidneys and your lungs and your digestive tract and your lymphatic system. So, as I said, if those things are all working the way they should, then your body is detoxing itself. You don't need to do extra things to detox your body. You don't need to go on a 2-day lymphatic system detox. Okay. That's just a kind of a way to frame it when you see that, especially on social media or marketing. Do this 2-day detox. That's really a marketing term. All right. Your body is a very effective way to detox itself, like a very effective detoxification system. And if it isn't working effectively, there are things you can do to support those systems, but don't think that you need, oh, I got to do extra detox. Okay. Another thing is kind of to go along with that, you don't need an additional ton of supplements. All right. We're not going to talk about a single supplement today that you need to help your lymphatic system. So that is not a road that we're necessarily going to go down. Again, there are benefits to supplements, and I have an entire episode on the supplements that I do take. But I think right now in the world, it is so easy to just find so many things on the shelf and just take more and more and more. That isn't necessarily the first line of attack when it comes to your lymphatic system. All right, so we are going to talk about the things that you can do to support your lymphatic system. So, after all of that, when we've talked about how it benefits you, the role that it plays, why it's important, we are going to talk next about the proven, like scientifically proven, evidence based ways that you can daily support your lymphatic system. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. It is summer here in Colorado, so not only is it still dry, but it is so hot right now. And I find myself in this time of life sweating even more than I used to. So between going to the pool with the kids, playing outside, filming my workouts, going on hikes, I tend to be sweating all the time, which means I want cool showers and I don't want a ton of heavy products on my skin afterwards. This is where OneSkin shines. I know it is a science-backed product that is working on my fine lines and wrinkles and my sunspots, and it is so light and nourishing at the same time. It layers beautifully either on its own or under makeup without feeling heavy and without making me feel like I am wearing a lot, which I appreciate all year, but especially in the summer. Born from over a decade of longevity research, OneSkin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the visible signs of aging, helping you unlock your healthiest skin now and as you age. For a limited time, try OneSkin with 15% off using code MEETYOURBODY at oneskin.co/meetyourbody. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code MEETYOURBODY. I am telling you right now in the midst of summer, OneSkin is the lotion that I am reaching for day and night. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Now back to our show. All right, so let's get into the ways that you can support your lymphatic system. The best ways to do it. Number one, movement. Move your body. At the beginning of the show, I told you that I have a specific lymphatic drainage workout for you. That can be really beneficial if you want to be told kind of exactly what to do with a few extra strategies put in for the lymphatic system. But truly, just move your body. If you are exercising every day, no matter what you're doing, you are helping your lymphatic system. Walking, strength training, lifting weights, doing Pilates, swimming, stretching, hiking, dancing, all of those things. Move. All right. That's the best thing you can do for your lymphatic system. And again, if you have that specific lymphedema or needs due to breast cancer surgery specifically, I do have an extra video for you. So I'll have that link below. Number two, deep breathing. So we do have lymph nodes and part of our lymphatic system around our abdomen and our diaphragm. So diaphragmatic, deep breathing, belly breathing too. So getting diaphragm moving, getting your belly moving, letting the ribs move to the side, those deep inhales through your nose, those deep exhales through your mouth. Those things will help stimulate your lymphatic system. And many times, if you are going to move, like if you're just using movement in general to help, I would do the deep breathing first. So you can combine many of these strategies together, but start any of your workouts with 5 to 10 deep breaths. And it's like priming the pump. That's how I think of it. So you're priming the pump a little bit to help kind of almost clear. And that's not the best word to use, but if we're going back to our highway analogy, we're kind of clearing the area so that when we get the fluid moving, it moves a little more easily through that area. So deep breaths, and of course, move as we mentioned. Next, hydrate. Hydrate, 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 just like you would for a healthy circulation and healthy circulatory system. Hydrate to help your lymphatic system. Water, electrolytes, keep drinking throughout the day. Next, sleep. So we talked about this. We touched on it just a little bit at the beginning. But sleep in general really helps support your immune system and your body health as a whole. And I could probably put a lot of different things into this category, right? Not only sleep, nervous system regulation, chronic stress, what you're eating, all of those kind of things that we talk about regularly here that fit into a healthy lifestyle, all of those are going to help your lymphatic system because when you stay healthy, you are helping kind of what we talked about with not only bacteria, viruses that kind of flow through the lymph system, but you're helping with your energy. You're helping to keep that fluid moving properly. So it's kind of this circular relationship. You're keeping yourself healthier, which then in turn helps your immune system, which then in turn helps the lymphatic system, which then in turn helps your immune function, right? So it all feeds in together. So, yes, by having a healthy lymphatic system, you're helping your immune system. But by helping your immune system through sleep and nervous system regulation, what you eat, staying hydrated, all of those things, that also in turn helps the lymphatic system. Next is just general things to decrease your inflammation. So again, things that we've talked about. That might be what you're eating, what you are eating or aren't eating, your eating habits, things like whole foods, vegetables, leafy greens, getting your protein, limiting alcohol, limiting smoking, limiting stress. All of those things help with your inflammation, which then will help with your lymphatic system. As I said earlier, this is a general idea for anyone who wants a healthier lymphatic system, but it's going to be even more important if you do have missing lymph nodes, if you have had lymph nodes removed, if you are prone to lymphedema. It is something that I'm always thinking of. As I said, I am only missing one lymph node. I had one removed of hundreds that I have in my body. One removed, and I experienced significant cording, significant lymphedema, and I still will have symptoms come up if I use my arm a lot in a given day. Gardening days, heavy moving days, travel days up on an airplane, and I have a compression garment that I wear to help. And I need to keep in mind staying hydrated. All of those things, all those tools that I need to put into place, they aren't just nice extras. They're truly a way that I can keep my arm feeling good, healthy, and keep that lymphedema out. Another thing that can be really helpful, and I use this quite a bit, and it's something that you would want extra training on, is a couple things. One is lymphatic massage, and this is done by a professional. All right. So, as I said earlier, if you do have this issue whatsoever, I want you to see, like, if you have a history of cancer and you've gone through lymph node removal, I want you to see a rehab professional who specializes in this kind of rehab. It is so, so, so helpful. But then also, there are other massage therapists out there, well, who would fall under that category of manual therapy, who specialize in lymphatic work, and that might be full body. Sometimes it would just be your arm or your leg, but sometimes it's full body. And that can be really helpful. Just make sure that someone who has experience with lymphatic massage. With that, there is something called dry brushing, which can come in handy. And I do that as well. And I talk about that a little bit and show it a little bit in that cording video that I mentioned. And that can help just stimulate the system itself. And that too, there are videos out there you can find on how to do it at home. You can consult with a professional. One thing to keep in mind that whether you're doing it on your own or working with someone, as I mentioned with priming the pump, that's what happens when you are doing any kind of self-massage or dry brushing also. You need to work a little bit on the lymph node areas first because you're clearing those, like opening them up to receive the fluid. And then you start doing your really gentle massage. And that's another thing to keep in mind when you're working on lymph. It's very gentle. I mean, it's just like on the skin. It is not deep muscle work. The lymph system is almost surface level in some areas. So it's a really gentle work on the skin. And I'm just telling you kind of what to expect if you do dive into that a little bit more. And it's something that I have done simply because of my history and when I was doing my own rehab and working with a rehab professional. But if you do have interest in something like that, there are some great people out there doing manual work that I think can be really helpful. And then, of course, contacting a healthcare provider if you feel like you need even more support. Physical therapists and people who specialize in this are so helpful, really helpful. And then even more than that, I work with some wonderful people who teach Pilates specifically in women who've had breast cancer and know how to work with lymphedema because there are implications for exercise, for lifting. There's implications on making sure that you don't cut yourself or burn yourself if you do have severe lymphedema. So seeing a healthcare professional is going to help a lot to make sure that you feel really empowered in your body, that you can continue to do the activities that you want to do, even if you are prone to lymphedema or swelling due to lymph node removal. So that gives you a really nice overview of what the lymphatic system is. And you've heard me go back and forth. Lymphatic system, lymph system, same thing. The lymph system is just a shorter way to say it. And you'll also see different terms online. Even when I was doing research to help answer your questions, you'll see lymphatic system, you'll see lymphatic drainage exercises, you'll see lymphatic workout, all very similar terms. All right. So just knowing that when you're looking at tools to help your lymphatic system, I see it kind of in two ways. It's supporting the system as a whole. So kind of that immune system piece that we talked about, staying healthy in general. And then it's also supporting and helping the movement, the exercise, the circulation. Those are kind of the tools that you will find and that you want to focus on for a healthy lymphatic system. So I will have those links for you below. I highly recommend you check them out. I'm also going to have my free breast cancer resource guide for anyone going through that phase. If you need to pass it on to a friend, it's where I have all of my resources and videos and podcasts about my breast cancer experience, exercise, cording, mastectomy, all of those things. So I hope that that can be helpful to some of you out there. And as always, thanks for being here, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for listening today. I would love it if you could take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. It means a lot to us, and it helps our content get out to more women who need it. You can find more of my resources at my website, jessicavalant.com, or find me on YouTube at Jessica Valant and Instagram at Jessica S. Valant.
The GLP-1 pill you've been waiting for is now on Ro. Yep, it's finally here. With the same clinically proven ingredient, now in a pill, and now on Ro. It's the first FDA-approved GLP-1 pill for weight loss at the lowest price available. That's one daily GLP-1 pill for big results. Now on Ro. Go to ro.co/listen to see if you qualify. RX only. Go to ro.co/safety for serious side effects and boxed warning associated with GLP-1s.